Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
It took him a second.
Always does.
Before we get to this great full-length episode of Memories and Legends, check out some of our great friends you can help support the cause to keep more Memories and Legends coming your way.
Infinity Key, a truly natural online language training experience. 25,000 minutes, that's what you'll need to invest. Invest 25,000 minutes with Infinity Key, and we'll build you a portfolio of language experiences designed to accelerate your personal progress. The coach will help you strike the right balance between passive acquisition and active application of your target language. InvestKey's algorithms and coaches guide you along the clearest, quickest path forward on your journey to fluency. Visit www.infinitykey.rocks for more information and follow Infinity Key on Facebook at facebook.com/InfinityKey.
Sacramento on Monday, December 17th. Monday Night Raw returns live with a massive main event. After a shocking betrayal,
oh my God!
Seth Rollins collides with Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. Plus, Finn Balor battles Drew McIntyre one-on-one. And don't miss Ronda Rousey and many more. It's WWE Raw live in Sacramento, Monday, December 17th. Tickets and ringside packages are available.
Champion, the Brahma Bull, the Great One, and this,
finally, The Rock has come back,
is his story. Journey alongside the millions in this definitive guide to
the most electrifying man in sports and entertainment.
See The Rock. Like you've never seen him before.
But The Rock is cooking.
The World of The Rock. Available now.
Wrestling fans, check out the brand new lapel pin from our friends at Crimson Mask. Inspired by Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon, it's Bang! 316. Only $8 each or 2 for $12. If you think it makes a great holiday gift, give me a hell yeah. Get yours today at crimsonmask.bigcartel.com.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
Memories and Legends, Tony, we're on night 3 of our Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks 12 Days of Christmas, but because it's a WWE pay-per-view weekend, the TLC event is in San Jose, California tonight.
Oh, my goodness.
That means the fans aren't just going to get a snippet like some of the other 12 days we have, but the full-length episode, the season finale of Memories and Legends, at least in 2018. We're going to talk about a man that's been heavily requested by the fans, a man you have known pretty well over the years, from what I know, one of the greatest world champions of this generation, the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
You know, I saw Ric Flair not too long ago, and he don't like for people to talk about him. I don't know if you know that.
Really?
He brags on himself, but when you brag on him, he don't like it.
Really?
That shocked me. I saw Ric Flair when Ric Flair was in his prime.
Yeah.
To me, he was the greatest, most entertaining wrestler I have ever met.
Why is that?
He could wrestle any style. He could wrestle with Andre the Giant one day, Harley Race the next, wrestle me the next day, wrestle another wrestler next day, and he adjust to each wrestler. There's nobody that career had been as long as Ric Flair on top. I mean, he's phenomenal. I mean, but I was lucky enough to meet Ric Flair when he first started his career back in the 70s.
We're in the mid-70s,
And I saw him sell out every building down south. North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Japan, you name it, he sold it out.
Did you meet Rick for the first time before or after the plane crash he was in?
I knew Rick when Rick was a power lifter from Minnesota, and Johnny Valentine, Greg Valentine's father, was the king at that time, and they needed somebody to replace Johnny Valentine after the plane accident. So Ric Flair took that spot. The other guy that moved up the ladder during that period of time was a guy called Ole Anderson. There were Gene and Lars Anderson. There was no Orn Anderson there. There were Gene and Lars Anderson were the first two Anderson brothers, and then Ole came along. But Ric Flair, no matter where he went, it was patrimony. There was nobody that drew as much money. He filled up every arena he ever been in. I would say Ric Flair was the greatest of all time during my generation. I would say from 1970 up until his retirement, you know, phenomenal. Look at him when he was in his 60s, out there wrestling with young wrestlers, and they would go back complain to Vince, say Flair chops too hard. Even
you like
now,
that?
Yeah, Flair, he was in his 60s. He was able to keep up with some of your best wrestling stars in the world. You know, Vince put him in the ring, and he held his own with everybody. I saw the retirement match. Who was that with?
Shawn Michaels.
That's amazing.
That was a great match.
That was amazing. He was old enough to be Shawn Michaels' grandfather, and was able to go toe to toe, and he put Michael through it. I mean, when Shawn came out that ring, I don't think one of the younger wrestlers could have went out there and done what Flair did. That is amazing. A senior citizen was out there wrestling one of the top, most talented wrestlers in the WWE at that particular time. Shawn Michaels was one of the best. But Flair could hold his own against one of the best even today. He was an amazing, amazing individual. I got a lot of respect for that man.
Was there a worry when the plane crash happened that Flair might never come back? I mean, he missed about a year of...
It wasn't just Flair in the plane crash.
Right.
There was one of the Crockett's who was the promoter. There was my first tag team partner. My very first tag team partner name was Bob Breggers. He used to play pro football and then turn wrestler. He never made it. He never came back.
Really?
And Johnny Valentine, who was the top man at that particular time, in the Mid-Atlantic, he was the top man. He became paralyzed from the hips down. Flair broke his back.
Right.
And came back after a broken back and became one of the greatest stars this business ever seen. I don't care where you go in this world. You ask people, you know Ric Flair? Yes, I know Ric Flair. I go to California, you know Ric? I know Ric Flair. You go to Florida, I know Ric Flair. You go to Texas, I know Ric Flair. Go to Minneapolis, I know Ric Flair. Go to Japan, I know Ric Flair. You go to Canada, I know Ric Flair. Go to Mexico, I know Ric Flair. There's nowhere in this world that people don't know Ric Flair. That's how great he was. And he was around during a time where they didn't have the cable, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have the social media.
Right.
And he became popular without social media.
Right.
And one thing social media did was just kept what he did alive. You know, it gave the fans a chance to, but I wish that they would do an episode on all of Ric Flair matches. You would be totally, Ric Flair wrestled every night, 7 days a week for 1 hour. 7 days a week. In my day, we wrestled 355 days a year. We took 10 days off from the 15th of December to December the 25th was the only time a wrestler was off. We wrestled 7 days a week, and Ric Flair went when they had to wrestle every night and sometimes twice on Sunday and Saturday.
Right.
They had a double shot.
9 shots a week.
That's right. Flair wrestled. I don't know any wrestler today could do that. And that's today's time. Where Vince was a little bit more lenient on the wrestler, Vince Jr., where the wrestlers only work 4 days a week. You know, they do 3 house shows and 1 TV.
Right.
And that's what they do now. But in Ric Flair days, when Ric Flair was the man, he wrestled 7 days a week. And drove. He didn't fly everywhere.
Right, yeah.
Then you drove 300 miles this way, 200 miles this way, 500 miles this way, party every night, work out every morning, and wrestle every night. He was like a machine. He was like a machine. There would never be another Ric Flair.
Would you have considered...
The closest thing to Ric Flair, I would say, was Buddy Rogers. back
Really?
in his day. Buddy
Okay.
Roger.
Both
Buddy
Nature
Roger and
Boys.
Well, Flair was better than Buddy Roger.
You think so?
Each generation improved the next. Like Buddy Roger was better than Gorgie George. Gorgie George was the first one of that type. And each generation that go along is a little bit better. Stu Hart was a great wrestler, but Bret Hart was 3 times as good as Stu was.
Wow.
You know, and you take like Bob Orton, he was a good wrestler, but Bob Orton Jr. was a better wrestler, and Randy is better than his father and his grandfather.
Yeah, you know, that's really
each
valid,
generation it's better than the last one.
What was a young Ric Flair like? Fans have certainly seen him evolve over the years.
Ric Flair
He broke in the AWA with the Ganyas before he came south.
Ric Flair would get a tailor-made suit made up on Monday and rip it off of him on Wednesday. Ric Flair would walk into a bar, drink all night. Then when he leave, he would tell the bartender, put all the drinks on me. He would pay for every drink in there. Ric Flair would get up at 6 in the morning, be in the gym at 7, leave the gym at 9, go home, eat, shower, hop in his car, drive to wherever he got to drive, wrestle for 1 hour, and go and party until 2 o'clock in the morning.
You think there was a lot of wasteful spending from the Nature Boy?
He became the Nature Boy. You see the difference between the olden days and today. Now, I can't talk much on today.
Right.
But we forgot who we were. We became that character where it was no longer an act. Ric Flair, when you meet him, he's not active. He been playing that character for so long, it became him. I remember when I did Legend House, a guy, I did a 400-pound bench press for him, and they say, at your age, Tony, why you lift so heavy? I said, I'm Tony Atlas.
You still live in the
Sometimes
gimmick.
when I sign legal document, instead of putting down Anthony White, which is my legal name, I would write Tony Atlas. Sometimes I forget that I'm not Tony Atlas. Well, I've been that character for so long that you actually become that person.
Right.
You know, you take like Nick Foley, you meet him in person, he would try to go back to being Nick Foley, but every now and then you're going to talk to you, see Cactus Jack. You know, and I know you take a guy like being Ric Flair that been 40-some years playing a character, it's very hard for him to go back to Richard Faraday, whatever his name is. So he can never be who he was born to be. He's going to be the Nature Boy. He became the Nature Boy, and that's what he is. He's the Nature Boy on television, he's a Nature Boy in the bars, he's a Nature Boy wherever you see him. At home, he's a Nature Boy. He's a Nature Boy with his kids. He cannot go back. It's a point of no return.
Did you ever travel with Rick in the territorial days?
Well, no, because Rick was considered in my day what they call the bad guy. And I was always considered what they call the good guy. So the good guys and the bad guys, they didn't socialize at all. I mean, we kept our distance from each other. In a way, it was a good way to protect the business, but also a good way of protecting you, because what I learned, if you get too close to a wrestler, then you're not going to try to do your best when you wrestle against them, because you're going to be a little bit lenient towards it. Yeah, you'll be a little bit lenient towards it. You will allow him to get away with stuff that you would not necessarily allow someone else to do, and you're not going to try to be an aggressor against a friend as a stranger. So it was kind of good that we didn't know each other. That will cause the tension that you would see in these old matches, you know, because we really didn't know enough. That one thing I said in Legend House, and all Hacksaw said it, Ronnie Piper, God bless his soul, said the same thing. This was the first time that wrestlers was able to get each other, to get to know each other on a personal basis. Because a guy be at home and he's Anthony White at home. Then as soon as he walk out that door, he become Tony Atlas or Ric Flair or Bob Orton Jr. As soon as he walk out the door. So I remember Vice TV did a thing, and it ain't came out yet. I'll be glad when it does, about the death and murder of Bruiser Brody. And his wife said on the tape, she said that she been talking to Frank Goodish and was sitting in the car going to the airport with her. But she said she would notice him as soon as he stepped out of the car. He would pull that ponytail back, his walk would change, his whole demeanor would change. He became Bruiser Brody.
He lived the gimmick.
It didn't have to live it. It just clicked in. As soon as he got out the car, she said she saw a person she didn't know. My wife told me one time, she said, leave Tony Atlas in the ring and in the gym. Don't bring him home. I didn't marry Tony Atlas. But my wife could tell when that switch happens, when I'm really myself and when I become Tony Atlas.
Was that switch difficult for Ric Flair?
Flair never switched it off.
That's what I mean. So it must
he could never be what he was before he became a wrestler. He's that character forever. And for some, in wrestling, it's a great thing. In acting, it's not a great thing. I remember watching an interview of a guy that used to play on the Beverly Hillbillies, Jess Rowe. Mm-hmm. And Jess Rowe told me he could not play in any other movie because every time somebody saw him, they saw Jess Rowe or the Beverly Hillbillies. So his career never could move beyond that because he got stuck with that character and that was it. He just couldn't move beyond that character. He was so well known. And the same thing happened to me with Saba Simba. Yeah. I talked to Sergeant Slaughter, who at that time was in the office, and I never knew the reason for my release with Saba Simba because I didn't miss no shows. I didn't cause any problem, but they got rid of the gimmick. And I asked Slaughter what was the reason for it, and this I found out 3 weeks ago. So what I'm telling y'all now, I didn't know it until 3 weeks ago. He said, Tony, you was too well known as Tony Atlas. He said, otherwise it would have worked. It worked for The Undertaker. We debuted, if you look it up, the same night. Right. We debuted the same night. The reason that Undertaker was able to develop, he was not that well known. When he did the gobbledygook, as soon as he took that chicken head off, everybody knew that was Guerrero. He was well known as Guerrero. So like Abdullah the Butcher, like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, once he got established as Hulk Hogan, he could never be anything else but Hulk Hogan. When you see him, that's Hulk Hogan. You know, John Wayne, once he got established as a cowboy and a Green Beret or a soldier, if he didn't play a cowboy or a Green Beret, no matter what role you put him in, you saw John Wayne the cowboy. You know, he was not that. Same thing with Clint Eastwood. He can't make any movies where he played anything other than a tough guy. Dirty Harry, Fistful of Dollars, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Even when he's not playing the Mancha role, he still have to be Mancha. I just saw one where he made with this Oriental kid, where he took him under his wing and everything. He was down on cancer, but still, he got his gun. He went to scare the other kids from messing with him. So that was his character as an American tough guy. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he tried to make comedies. Didn't work.
Didn't work.
When you ask Arnold Schwarzenegger right now, who is Arnold, they would say, the Terminator. Once he played the Terminator, nothing else worked. He was the Terminator forever.
Did you see a change in Ric from when you knew him as Ric Flair working down in Mid-Atlantic to when he transitioned into becoming the NWA World Champion?
To be honest with you, Flair was like that. That character was always there. He was always wild and crazy, even back before he became that was the main reason why they put him there. They said, we got to get this personality on TV. Right. But he could not override Johnny Valentine at the time. Johnny Valentine was a very serious, hard-hitting wrestler. The first time Johnny Valentine hit me, I wet myself.
Really?
That's how hard he would hit you. You be black and blue when Johnny Valentine got through with you. I mean, he laid in every punch, every hit. Johnny Valentine wanted to make it as real as possible. Yeah, Johnny Valentine, one of the roughest guys you all want to get in the ring with. Him and Larry the Axe Hennig, that's Kurt Hennig.
We know Larry well here in Boston Wrestling.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, he was another monster that would beat you halfway to death. Now his grandson is out there wrestling, which God bless him, you know. And I'm glad that Vince is using second and third generation.
It's a great thing.
See, people say this and they say that about Vince, but Vince have did a lot to keep wrestling in the mainstream. I don't know where wrestling would have been if it wasn't for McMahon. I mean, people got their gripe where he did this and that. Well, that was business. But when you look at where wrestling at, where the wrestling is the biggest indoor drawing sport in the world. I've seen wrestlers sell out stadiums. And the stadium is full. But then the pay-per-view he got. And he got this going on and that going on. They have never, you know, you go to a football game, the Super Bowl may be sold out, but they do that once a year.
Right.
Vince go in that same stadium and sell it out.
Right.
And turn away people. He could fill up that stadium with wrestling, and wrestling had never been that predictable. I remember back with World Class, more than Von Erich, you used to run the stadium. But when you look at the old pictures, they was always half full.
It was a good crowd for them,
not,
but it wasn't
not
sold
like,
out.
Not even close. Not even close. I remember we did
Shea Stadium?
Shea Stadium. We did 600,000 some people. They did a bit Antarctica, you know, but it was not totally sold out.
It wasn't totally full.
It was totally full. Vince go right back every last minute and the place is packed. And you have to turn away people. So it's amazing what he did. He marketed wrestling into where kids get tours. I mean, it was no marketing value to wrestling at first. And wrestlers had became, for the first time, not just wrestlers, celebrities.
And you like that?
I like that. I mean, I was last week, I was sitting right beside Ice-T. He's an actor, a rapper, he's a celebrity, but I'm sitting right beside him there.
Wow.
You know, I'm sitting next to a lot of celebrities, that, you know, actors and other football players. Mike Tyson saw me run up and start giving me a hug. Mike Tyson, you know, former world champion. But Snoop Dogg, when he got inducted in the Hall of Fame, he mentioned my name. He said, I grew up watching Tony Atlas. Snoop Dogg, of all people.
Made you feel good.
Yeah, that when these guys talk, they always bring up the guy that played with The Rock there. He's from Boston here. Woodsboro.
Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg. I saw an article where he mentioned my name.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he mentioned my name. Oh. So you take a lot of these actors and singers and people you see now on television.
And they admire you.
They all grew up watching wrestling.
That's funny.
Because wrestling right now is one of the most entertaining sports in the world. Now I'm a football fan myself. I mean, I love my New England Patriots. You know, I'm a football fan. But sometimes I've been talking about football and to my buddy, hey, Tony, what about Brock Lesnar? I said, well, Tom Brady. Oh, yeah, yeah, Tom Brady, he's good. Hey, tell me what Brock Lesnar going to do with The Rock. You know, wrestling is in, thanks to the McMahon. They put it on on a corporate.
There you go, corporate. Is certainly the way to put it. Let me ask you this, Tony. Back to the Nature Boy Ric Flair. ESPN, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, did a tremendous 30 for 30 documentary on him that Rick participated in.
No, I didn't see that.
You should check it out if you have like on demand on your cable system. Or maybe I can get you a disc of it. But he said for the majority of his career he was a functioning alcoholic. Do you think that's an accurate statement from your observations?
Yes, because my first week I didn't drink. All the guys said, Tony, got to be one of the boys. You got to fit in. So I said, okay, I'll go with your guy. They said, all right, we go to old 7-Eleven. They were the only convenience store. Then there was no other convenience store. It was just 7-Eleven. That was the first convenience store. We go in the convenience store. Now, this was every night because they didn't have fast food like they did now. We get a 6-pack of beer, a pound of sharp cheese, a pound of bologna, and white Wonder Bread.
White Wonder Bread.
But yeah, that's what it was.
No wheat.
There was no wheat around too much back then. You know, everybody would know there was that white Wonder Bread. You know what?
Nothing gluten free.
No, there was none of that gluten-free stuff in them days. And what the guy would do, the guy in the back, he would slice off a chunk of bologna, slice off a chunk of cheese, slap it on that piece of bread, and hand it to you, and hand you a beer. We used to call that the bologna blowout.
It's a tradition at the Cauliflower Alley Club.
That was a tradition. So every wrestler got used to drinking beer. And so what ended up happening, they got to the point that after 20 years of beer drinking and clubbing, you know, they used to party every night. They go do their match. The match was over at 10. By 10:30 or 11, they're sitting in the bar. 2 o'clock, the bar closed. Now, sometimes if you didn't stay over, you had to drive back. And most times you had a 4-hour drive back. You leave at 10, you get in at 2. Mm-hmm. So that's when you would have your bologna blowout. And that's what the guys used to do That's how so many guys got involved with the alcohol back in them days. But it was a tradition.
Right, no, absolutely.
Got to have a nice cold beer after every match. Got to have a nice cold beer. And guys, you know, if you didn't do a six-pack.
And we know what your favorite was.
Yep.
Old Milwaukee.
Old Milwaukee best. Old Milwaukee best, yes.
Rick also claimed in this documentary that in his life he's probably slept with 10,000 women. Do you think that's an accurate
easy.
statement? That's a lot of women.
No, because I probably had too. It was so easy,
You
brother.
had 10?
It was so easy.
But you've pretty much been with one for 30 years.
Yep, but in my career, it was just that easy. You got no idea.
How many would you have to have a night to rank up to 10,000?
Most of the time, you had 2 or 3 women a night.
Each night?
Yeah, man.
Really?
It was not
so you'd be
hard
looking
to
at
do.
1,000 a year.
Yeah, oh, it was easy. It was so easy. You'd be surprised. It was so easy back in them days. You see, what happened is different between them days and them days. Just like when we came to Boston.
Right.
There was one hotel we all stayed at every time we came to Boston. It was the Bradford.
Yep.
Right by Chinatown. I don't know if it's still there or not.
No.
It was a real old hotel.
Yep.
And we used to walk from there to Chinatown. Well, after the show in the garden, all the ladies knew where we was at. So they all was in the bar at night.
The rats.
I ain't calling them rats.
Why would you call them rats?
They was ladies.
Arena ladies?
Well, yeah, they was infatuated with us wrestlers, and we call them rats because they was infatuated and they let us have the way, which was wrong for us to do.
You think these rats deserved more respect?
Yes. We got to stop disrespecting women because they show us love. You know, just because she fell for your crap, don't mean she's a rat. She fell for your crap.
They were giving you, in essence, a very kind gift.
Well, yeah, but we fed them bull crap to get them to go to bed with us. Told them that we love them. We told them everything. There's thousands of women out there that never went to a wrestling match. They probably went through the same thing. They meet some smooth-talking guy that would tell her anything that she wanted to hear for that moment so he could get laid. You know, we knew what to do, and we used our celebrity status to influence this woman to play our game. I have even seen wrestlers that would be with a girl that night and then would pass her off to another wrestler. Then
I remember that happening over at the Howard Johnson's in Revere.
Exactly. That's where we went after the Bradford. First, then we went to the Howard Johnson.
The Hojos in Revere.
Out in Revere. But that's how it was for years, because when a young girl meet a celebrity for the first time in life, somebody she been watching on TV, of course they're young and they're impressionate. So we took advantage of that.
Yeah.
You know, some people want to be known. You know, they just want that little recognition in their life. And we knew that. In other words, we took advantage of them, and then we call them names afterward. Shame on us.
You didn't refer to them as rats, too?
No, I never did.
No. Well, that's probably for the best.
Never did, because you know, the woman came over, she gave me a good time, you know, showed me a good time.
Why demeanor?
Why demeanor?
Let me ask you this, Tony. Rick is known for a saying that I don't know how it could not thrive here at this studio. No hair, no flair. Are you familiar with that?
No.
You're not familiar with that?
No.
Well, if you were apparently clean-shaven down south, the Nature Boy didn't like that.
Really?
He would enjoy coming to the studio to see one of our friends, Fluffy, because she has plenty of the hair, so to speak. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he liked that wall-to-wall action, I guess.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Were you a wall-to-wall guy?
Well, me and Flair, we didn't party together except for in the bar. I would see him in the bar, but once he went up to his room, I didn't go up. We didn't party in that perspective.
You didn't share groupies.
Well, I wouldn't call them groupies. They have certain women that was affiliated with certain men.
Regulars.
There was regulars, you know, and every time they came to town, they would see this particular wrestler, you know. In fact, the wrestler had a phone number, and they would call the girl up. They would say, hey, can you get me some cold cuts and some beer and get me a room there? The girl would go and pay for the room, go out and buy the food, buy the beer. The wrestler come walking in and go walk straight to the room.
So there was more than sex with these rats.
Well, they went all out for wrestling.
Yeah.
They
legitimately cared. They wanted more than just the sex. They wanted the time.
They wanted the time,
right.
But they also wanted to try to have a relationship with this person.
But sadly, they didn't realize
They
for the most
didn't realize
part it was
they
for
was
one
being,
night
they was being used.
or even for an hour in some cases.
They was being used.
Right.
They didn't
a lot
know
of the
they
rats
was being
were
used.
I
And it
think.
happened not just in wrestling. I'm sure it happened in all type of
Sports, music.
A business.
Yeah.
You know, a guy with a girl would go be with the boss because the boss, you know, is high and mighty. Well, you look at it in everyday life. I would see a lot of these old guys, and I always say, would that woman be with that guy if that guy was not in the position he in?
I don't know.
You see it all the time. I mean, when you watch TV, a guy with some old guy would come out 70-some years old and show you his 30-year-old wife. You think that 30-year-old was going with this 70-year-old man? You know, you know, if he worked at your local bakery.
I don't know.
No, and you do know.
It's a very, very, very
a lot of
valid
guys,
point.
I had when I was in my heyday, hand me that picture there, son. I'll show you
This
something.
one right here.
Yeah, that one right there. Flip that camera back over here, young.
Come on, Cecil the Lion, please.
When I was this young man right here,
You had your rats.
right, I had so many women chasing me that I actually thought I was cute. That's how many women were chasing me. I thought I was cute. And then when I quit wrestling, when I was no longer involved in the wrestling world, I found out I wasn't that damn cute.
Well, that's
Because
not what Monico would say.
The women stopped. That's why me and my wife was able to make it, because my career as a wrestler was pretty much over. So I had only one woman that was really interested in just me.
Now, who was that? Monica. Okay.
Monica.
Am I saying it right? Monica or Monica?
Monica.
I'm hoping at some point she's going to make
It's
me one
not
of those.
Monica. Monica.
Monica.
Monica.
Monica.
There you go. She's
like
German.
Moan.
Yeah,
Monica.
Monica. Yeah. She's German. But she was the only woman that I met outside my mother and my grandmother that cared about me as a person. Not as a celebrity, not as a wrestler, not as a bodybuilder, not as a weightlifter, but me just for being me. I told one guy one time, they said, Tony, yeah, you know, this girl chased you because of your body. I said, I had this body before I got into wrestling. I ain't had no women. Anybody want to date me. I always had the body, but I didn't get the women until I got the fame.
The celebrity
And
status.
I'm not trying to put women down in no means, but we, a celebrity, we got away, maybe not so much today because the women today are much smarter and more educated, and they're more aware of things than what they were, let's say, in the 70s, for example. I mean, in the 70s, you had, what, 5 TV stations?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you was on one of them stations,
That was a big deal.
you was a big deal in the 70s, brother, because they didn't have all them stations. Now to be on TV is common. They didn't have reality show. They didn't have 150 stations. So you only had 3 or 5 stations to be a part of. So if you was a part of them 5 stations,
That was a big deal.
That was a very big deal. And that's why when you watch Elvis Presley, when he was singing, where the women's falling out fainting, the Beatles, where they saw women falling out fainting. Now the guys go, you don't see that no more. You don't see women fighting to get to this guy no more. Because this woman knows she could be on TV too.
Well, Tony, I do know we always get the requests. One of our friends down in Connecticut certainly wanted to do an entire episode on some of the different territories in their rats. Maybe we'll look at that somewhere down the road. But as far as Ric Flair himself, you work the man in the territories, you work the man as a champion.
Yep.
Where would you rank him as far as your opponents go? Top 5, top 10, top 3?
Oh, no, not that low. Yeah. I always put Harley Race number 1.
The king.
I always put Harley number 1 as people to work with me.
Right.
To work me. Flair, I would say Flair, the top 3, man, it was so many. See, it's hard to do that.
Top 5.
That's still hard.
You can't even put him in the top 5.
Well, no, he's up there, but it's hard to do simply for this reason. I work with Dory Funk Jr.
Yeah.
Not Terry Funk, Dory. And amazing. Dory Dixon, amazing. Ric Flair, amazing.
You keep talking about this Dory Dixon. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Oh, my God. If you never seen him wrestle, brother, imagine Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
With more moves.
I'm going to have to research Dory
more
Dixon.
moves.
Really?
More moves.
Better worker.
Better worker. Dory Dixon, what's his name? He was just outstanding. I have worked with so many. It's hard to do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5. It's so very hard to do. If a person want to be honest, Ric Flair, I would say, was ranked right around the top. Flair, Harley Race. If you ever worked with Dory Funk, he was fantastic. Nick Bockwinkel, phenomenal.
So I've heard.
Phenomenal wrestler. You
Very
know?
smooth.
Very smooth. Smooth as silk. So they just have this wrestling business has been so blessed. We have some of the most talented people walking the face of the earth.
Right.
It's the same thing with somebody else who was the strongest wrestler I've ever met. That's another hard thing to do. Kim Patero could put 500 pounds over his head, but he couldn't bench press it. But he could put it over his head. You know, you take Alvin Puskett could squat 1,000 pounds. You know, so it's hard to really judge any wrestler. Categorize guys at 1 or 2 or whatever, because each wrestler was phenomenal in their own way. Yeah.
Are there any matches that stick out to you, main events that you had with Flair in certain places? Or
no, but I tell you,
angles?
I remember the matches between Ric Flair. Now, Flair said Rick Steamboat was his best opponent. My opinion, it was Wahoo McDaniels.
Now, why is that, Tony? Take us back, brother.
They beat each other into oblivion. Wahoo was half crazy. I mean, when you see Wahoo and Flair work, not once did you thought that was a work. I mean, them guys, with Wahoo would chop you, brother, and blood would shoot from your chest. Flair and Wahoo built the NWA. They built that. When Ricky Steamboat went in, everything was already rolling.
I got you.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wahoo is the one that made Ric Flair.
He built the foundation to the house.
He built the foundation for the house that Ric Flair, Lex Luger, Sting, Ron Summers, and everybody else profit off of. Him and Johnny Valentine. Wahoo and Johnny Valentine and Ric Flair built the NWA and WCW. And Ole and Gene Anderson. That was the bread pin of it all.
Yes.
See.
Any stories of Rick?
And like Hulk Hogan built the WWE.
Right.
I mean, we were doing okay. We were drawing houses, but nothing like Hogan.
Right.
And then Cold Stone, Randy Savage, and all these guys, Lex Luger, John Cena, everybody that enjoying the fruits now. That table was built. That foundation, the root of that was Hulk Hogan. No matter what nobody said, I was there when it happened.
You were there.
I saw
You
it
lived
happen. It took off like a freaking $1 million. Then when they started flying him around, they couldn't put him on the private on the regular flight.
It would be too distracting.
He couldn't get to the gate.
Everybody wanted a piece of him.
He could not make. I saw him one day at the airport. The last time at the airport, I was sitting there. He went to the counter. He couldn't get his ticket. We had to go get his ticket for him. He couldn't get his ticket. The people, they
mobbed him?
There was at least 100 people on him. I mean, everybody in the freaking airport was around Hogan. He was standing there like, guys, help me. He was begging for help. He couldn't even make it to the counter to get his ticket.
Wow.
Then when it came time for the gate, guys wanted to fight me because I'm trying to get Hogan through the crowd to get to his gate.
That was the life.
The plane wouldn't even take off.
The pilot wanted to meet him?
The pilot was back there. We were talking, man, when we going to take off? He was the steward that everybody was around Hogan. Finally, Vince took him off of public planes.
And went private?
He had to. Yeah. He would never made a show.
The best for everybody.
He would never made a show. When he walked through he just stopped. I saw the whole airport just freaking stop.
All right, let me ask you this, Tony, before I hear the music starting to play as we wrap up this segment. How do you think Ric Flair will be remembered by wrestling fans and
one of the greatest of all times. Maybe not the greatest, but at least one of the greatest of all time. There will never be a more dedicated person than Ric Flair. See, Flair made all of his fame. Hogan made his fame from movies. The Rock made his fame from movies. Hogan Flair made his fame from wrestling.
He did.
I would say, for me, if I had a choice to wrestle somebody, it'd be Harley Race. But I would say that Ric Flair was a much better drawer, a bigger drawer, a more entertainer, and more dedicated to the sport.
All right.
Because he became that. You know, he lives today. You meet Ric Flair today, same Ric Flair I met back in 1973.
I think Space Mountain has slowed down a little.
What?
Space Mountain.
Who, Flair?
Yeah.
You put him in that ring, he don't.
All right, well.
He may slow down outside, but it's something about that ring.
Lights him up.
There's something about that ring. You put him in that ring, all of a sudden, woo!
Just like you.
It's on.
All right, Tony.
It's on.
We're going to take a brief timeout. We come back. We're going to continue the Hall of Fame name game with more luminaries from your great career. Fans, stand by.
Jingle bell.
Detroit on Friday, December 28th. Feel the thrill of a special Friday night edition of Monday Night Raw with a double main event as Seth Rollins collide with Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. And Braun Strowman takes on Baron Corbin in a one-on-one battle. Plus, don't miss Ronda Rousey, Bobby Lashley, and Finn Balor live. It's WWE Raw in Detroit on Friday, December 28th. Tickets and ring-signer packages are available.
Wrestling fans, I tell you, it's that time of year again. It's getting cold out, and you want the goodies. Our good friends at Honeydew Donuts. 888 Main Street in Melrose, Tony. They got the cocoa, they got the coffee, they got the donuts, they got the muffins.
Oh, they got all the goodies.
You love them.
Oh, my goodness.
And
they
Santa
got
Claus
the best,
is gonna
too.
eat.
Hey, they got the best donuts, all nice and hot, and nothing better than a fresh, hot donut early in the morning with a cup of coffee on your way to work. Get the day going real good. I like them donuts, man.
Well, our friends at Honeydew, they were great to us for the holiday Headlocks toy drive this year. And they got a special going on through Christmas Day, Tony.
Oh, really?
$25 gift card, you get a $5 bonus. $50
Wow.
gift card, you get a $10 bonus.
That's fantastic.
$75 gift card, you get $15.
Wow.
And then if you hit the 100 mark, you get 20 back. It's unbelievable.
You
Again,
can't
through
beat that.
Christmas Day. Great
Yep.
stocking stuffer. I know
Yep.
you're always looking to give stocking stuffers.
Yep. Well, you see, that's a good thing about Honeydew Donut. They want to give back. You know, they want to thank the people for supporting them over the years,
right?
And they feel that they want to give a little bonus to it. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody should want to do a little giving this year. Honeydew is they have give for many years, and then once again, they right on the mark giving again.
Well, Tony, you're a WWE Hall of Famer. You're a bodybuilding Hall of Famer. Will Honeydew belong in the Donut Hall of Fame?
I would love to be in the Honeydew Hall of Fame. Yes, I would. The Honeydew Hall of Fame.
Honeydew Donuts, again, we thank you for your support. We hope to join us again in the future. Thank you.
See the moments
Generation X invades WCW.
you'll always remember. Like never before.
Occupy Raw has taken over.
With Raw, the first 25 years, packed with rare photos, profiles of your favorite superstars, and so much more. From the very first Raw to the 25th anniversary, it's the ultimate guide to WWE's flagship show. Raw, the first 25 years. Available now.
The most dominant superstar in recent memory.
Pittsburgh on Saturday, December 29th. Witness a special Saturday night edition of WWE SmackDown Live with an epic main event as AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, The Miz, and Samoa Joe collide at a fatal four-way match for the WWE Championship. Plus, free agent John Cena and Rey Mysterio battle Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura in a tag team match. It's WWE SmackDown Live on Saturday, December 29th. Tickets and ringside packages are available.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to the December WWE TLC Weekend Edition of Memories and Legends. I'm Dan Morati, joined by my buddy,
Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
We discussed Nature Boy Ric Flair. We discussed some vaginal hair and all kinds of sorts of great things about Nate. Fans had asked, though, Tony, we like to take the fans' opinions from Twitter. Your memories of certainly a great tag team, and in one case, one of the great champions of the era, the Briscoes.
Yeah, you know, Jackie, Jerry Brisco, most people don't know they were Native Americans.
Yes.
Yep, they was Native. Also, they was what we call a shooter. which means they was not only great pro wrestler, they both were very, very good at amateur wrestling. You know, they had a great amateur career long before they have a pro career. And I traveled a lot with the Brisco, and I always thought that they was a very, very, very good tag team. Even as a singer, they held their own, but they were mainly known for their tag team action. They worked together, and it looked like you were wrestling one person because they just knew what the other one was going to do before the other one even did it.
Very fluid.
Very fluid. They was a very, very outstanding team. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend as much time with them as I would like to. I think me and Jerry, we talked more when he became an agent than what he was when he was a wrestler. Because the way wrestlers did, like the Brisco mainly was out of Florida most of the time. So they spent most of their days like Dusty Rhodes did in the Florida area and around Texas.
Yeah.
Whereas if you was in Minneapolis, you may saw him maybe a couple of times. If you was in Mid-Atlantic, you saw him a couple of times. You was in at that time WWF or AWA with Vern Gagne. You would see them a couple times, but you really didn't get to really people that only really know the Briscoes are people that work Florida or Texas on a full scale.
How is Jack Brisco as a world champion? Was he before you broke in? Is the world champion?
No. He won the belt during the time that I was in. But
did you ever work with him when he was the world champion?
I worked with him. I worked with him in Texas when he was a world champion. But
and what was he like to work with as a single?
He was an excellent worker. I mean, in the ring, you know, he both of the Brisco was really fantastic wrestlers. That's why I say it's very hard to set a name with this wrestler better than this wrestler, this wrestler better than this wrestler. The good thing about wrestling, you have your variety. Someone may love the way superstar Billy Graham wrestled. Another person would look at superstar Billy Graham and say, I don't like his style. I like Harley Race. Another person would look at Harley Race and say, oh, I don't like his style. I like the way Ric Flair does it. And that was the most amazing thing about pro wrestling because there's always something there for everybody.
Right.
So it's very hard to put one tag team or one person over top of another because in wrestling, one man dream, another man nightmare.
Right.
Because wrestling got a little bit of something for everybody. Even if you're watching now, you know, everybody got their, like you said, who's your favorite wrestler? See?
Such variety. Great variety.
They always had that variety, so that's why it's hard to really place. So what we judge wrestlers on is how many butts you can put in a seat. So promoters always had a lot of talent in wrestling, always been a lot of talent. But what make you a champion is the fact that you could put butts in the seats. There's guys that could wrestle circus around Hulk Hogan, but they couldn't draw
flies.
Couldn't draw flies with a handful of honey.
Right.
You know, but he could draw. Dusty Rhodes, he couldn't do what Rey Mysterio do. He couldn't do drop kicks, head scissors, jump off the top rope like Jimmy Snuka. He couldn't do none of them moves. If I could, he was very limited in his wrestling moves. But when you put Dusty Rhodes on the billboard, the place sold out. So,
do you remember a little bit of the controversy the Briscoes faced when they sold their stocks of Georgia to Vince McMahon? And Vince was able to capitalize on that and go on to the TBS network, replacing the longtime Georgia Championship Wrestling show. I think it was back in 1984.
Right. Well, see, a lot of guys say that they shouldn't have done it, but they were very smart businessmen too. And they saw
had families.
Yeah, well, they saw the writing on the wall because we had Mario Savoti, his father Angelo Savoti, and he refused to sell. And he was a promoter of New England.
Right.
He did.
Well, there's two different territories.
Yeah, but he was the promoter for New England, and Gorilla Monsoon, Arnold Skolin, all the guys, they sold out to Vince and took the deal. Savoti didn't.
He made a mistake.
He made a big
huge mistake.
Huge mistake. Because he was left out in the cold. There's an old saying, you can't fight City Hall. When corporate come in to run over you, unless you got the money and the ability to keep up with it, you're not going to do it. So if the Briscoe have not done it, then Vince would have took it anyway. So you might as well get paid. You're going to lose it anyway. They would not be able to keep it because Vince had all the talent.
Right.
Vince could pay the wrestlers 3 times what the Briscoe could pay them.
Right.
So they would have hung in there probably about a year or so, and then Vince would have ended up, and they would have ended up with nothing.
The Briscoes didn't last very long in WWF as a tag team. Jack kind of went home when he got tired of the travel, and Jerry went on to have a decades-long run with WWF.
Well,
so
see,
it was certainly
Jack-
a great move for him.
Jack was not the healthiest man in the world.
Oh, really? Okay.
So illness started set in that caused him to come off the road. It wasn't because he really wanted to. Plus, they had their own business going.
Right. Yep. The
And
Briscoe brothers. Auto shop.
He dropped out of wrestling to run his business because his health was. He felt that his health was not all there. And then I saw him in the last years of his life. It had really took a toll. I think he had cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
That's too
But
bad.
his
A real
health started.
shame,
His
yeah.
health. Most time when a wrestler quit and go on to something else, his health started to fail him. You can stay in wrestling as long as you stay healthy.
Healthy, right.
And unfortunately, some of us guys, hopefully, knock on wood, that I've been lucky. But I remember Jimmy Snuka in 1990 was the best developed wrestler in the WWF. That was WWF at that time, 1990.
90, right.
And he was phenomenal looking. I saw him in 2000, and it was like a total different.
Right.
But he got stomach cancer.
Yeah.
So the cancer, he got ill. If he had not got ill, then he would have still been that
big like you.
Yeah, I've been lucky that I have not had any illness or any sickness that caused me to. When I see Harley Race in a wheelchair, it's sad, but his health gave away on him. And when I saw King Kong Bundy at the big event, he had to have 2 guys to help him stand up. I see Abner the Butcher walking with a walker. That was the most feared man in wrestling. Now he's with a walker.
Yeah.
You see? So your health is very important. Well, you take like Tom Brady, 41 years old.
Still ticking.
And he's still kicking. But if Tom Brady should get hurt at 41,
stick a fork in him.
There ain't no coming back.
Right.
You don't heal that well at 41 like you did when you were 21.
21, right.
So it would be a year before he's able to walk back on that field, and he probably would never be the same. He's going to be a little gun shy if he ever got hurt out there. Hopefully he don't get hurt this year because I'd like to see him in the Super Bowl.
There you go. Let me ask you this, Tony. You mentioned the Savoldis. Do you think Ole Anderson kind of put himself in the position of Angelo Savoldi when the Georgia shares got sold and he was just kind of really left with nothing?
They kicked him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't volunteer. The WCW was his idea. It was his idea. Ole was one of the most smartest men in this business I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. But they took Ole's idea, developed it, and then they got rid of the developer. They kicked him to the curb. They did the same thing with George Scott. The people that built the territory were the people that they got rid of, which is weird to me.
That's wrestling, as they say, right? Where would you like to see the Briscoes remembered as decades go on down the road? For the fans that may watch this video 40 years from now, what would you tell them to maybe introduce them or educate them about the Briscoes in a few sentences?
The Briscoe was part of the foundation of what we see now. All the guys like the Briscoe, the Anderson brothers, the Valiant brothers, the list go on and on of great wrestlers that have built, have sacrificed they really all their youth. I mean, like Randy Savage, he got into wrestling, he was 16 years old, all the way up until his death, He put everything he had into wrestling. Mm-hmm. Ronnie Piper, he put, ever since a youth, put everything he had into wrestling. These guys gave their life to the entertainment of wrestling. And they should be remembered as well, to be honest with you, McMahon put it best. Without the older wrestlers, there'd be nobody now. He holds all of us to the utmost respect. McMahon does. Mm-hmm. People don't know that. But he looked at all of us as being the foundation. I remember the last time I was there, I went to do an interview and I messed it up. And Vince got up out of the control room, walked all the way back to the dressing room and said, Tony, hold your head up. You just as much a part of this than anybody here.
That must have made you feel pretty good.
Like $1 million. He said, you just as much a part of this than anybody here, no matter if you're here or not. Because you was one of the people that helped build this. Even with all my screw up, I was still part of the development of what people get to enjoy now.
Wow. All right, wrestling fans, the Briscoes, they go down and as wrestling legends, certainly Hall of Famers.
Yes.
Jerry Brisco and I tweet sometimes about the Tampa Rays and the Boston Red Sox. We like to talk a little baseball sometimes. But fans, we're going to be back after this brief timeout. We have one more chapter of the Hall of Fame name game, but as we've been doing so far into the three nights of Christmas, what do we got, Tony?
Tell your fans the next time they talk to Jerry Brisco, say Tony out there, say, how's the Cavs?
How's the Cavs?
See, we had a joke going. Every time I wrestled here, I would get out there, he would tell me to flex.
Yeah.
So I get out there and flex my bicep, flex my chest and everything. And Jerry used to walk in the middle of the ring and flex his calf in front of me. Because I never had calves.
Right.
So he used to always tease me about it. He
had the bigger calves.
He had these huge calves, you know, and he used to always flex his calves in front of me, and I used to, I used to do that all the time. I wanted some high boots one time and try to get him to wear these high boots to come up to your knees, just so you can stop showing them calves. So if you mention calves to him, he's going to laugh. That was one of his biggest gifts. If he saw me right now and then, he would come in, he'd pull his pants leg up and like flex his calf.
All right,
he would do it right now and
maybe we'll see it sometime. All right, wrestling fans, again, we're going to say salute to Paul Bear. We'll take a sip of the cup. We're going to take a look at holiday headlocks, and we'll be back with more.
It's that time of year again, and there's two great ways to help. First, we have our annual Holiday Headlocks Mega Raffle, where one lucky fan is going to win the entire jackpot of prizes. You'll get the NXT TakeOver Chicago pay-per-view chair, a variety of NXT authentic autographed posters, a Tony Atlas signed artwork print, a personal phone call from the WWE Hall of Famer himself, and dozens of more prizes including books, DVDs, autographed photos, trading cards, shakers, cups, and more. You can enter the raffle for as little as $5, and it's open to fans anywhere in the world. The winning number will be selected after SmackDown on Christmas night. You can pick up your jackpot of prizes at MWF Studios or arrange for shipment. We also have our $20 merchandise bundle available as a great cost-effective holiday gift. For only $20, not only do you help our Holiday Headlocks toy drive, but receive a mystery WWE t-shirt in your choice of sizes, 5 autographed photos, a Something to Wrestle With drink koozie thanks to our friend Bruce Pritchard, and an autographed Christmas card. Money raised from our endeavors goes to quote-unquote upgrade Santa Claus's GPS so we can find every kid on his list. We don't want any little guy or girl accidentally missed because of a technical error, so please do what you can to help. Whether you're just a fan of Christmas or enjoyed Paul Bearer's work with The Undertaker in WWE, this is a chance for the professional wrestling community to come together for the holidays.
Buffalo on Sunday, December 30th. Feel the thrill as WWE returns live with a massive main event after a shocking betrayal.
Oh my God!
Seth Rollins collides with Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship in a steel cage match. Plus, Finn Balor, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre collide in a triple threat match. It's the WWE Live Holiday Tour in Buffalo, Sunday, December 30th. Tickets and VIP packages are available.
They're ready to take their rightful place amongst the literary greats. Who, you ask?
The New Day!
That's who. It's the Book of Booty. Shake it, love it, never be it. It's the feel-good story of the rise of the New Day. Loaded with games, trivia, coloring pages, and so much more. The Book of Booty. Shake it, love it, never be it. Available now, online, or wherever books are sold.
Tampa on Sunday, December 30th. WWE SmackDown Live returns as the legendary John Cena stars on
the most must-see WWE talk show in history,
Miz TV, and locked inside a steel cage, AJ Styles battles Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. Plus, Randy Orton, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair. It's the WWE Live Holiday Tour on Sunday, December 30th. Tickets are available.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to the December Memories and Legends. I'm Dan Marotti, joined by this guy over here.
Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, the Beast of the East. I forgot the rest.
The Chris Kringle of the Millennium Wrestling Federation.
Chris Kringle, that's me.
The Holiday Headlocks Drive continues. Tony, we talked about Nature
Santa
Boy,
with a tan.
Ric Flair, the Brisco brothers. One more NWA legend, certainly, former NWA World Champion. Had one of the great matches in WWF history at WrestleMania 3. A man that donated kindly to the 2018 Paul Bear Holiday Headlocks Drive. We're talking about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Phenomenal. There's nothing else to say about Ricky Steamboat except for phenomenal. He was in Georgia Championship Wrestling first. And he was tag team with a guy called Dean Ho. Now, Dean Ho was one of the strongest men I've ever met. Dean Ho would take a horseshoe, straighten it out, and bend it back. He was phenomenally, didn't lift weights or nothing, just naturally strong. And that was Ricky Steamboat first tag team partner in Georgia.
Paul.
Right. And then what ended up happening, Jim Barnett allowed Ricky Steamboat to go to Mid-Atlantic. And I remember Barnett come back in the dressing room, oh my God, that Ricky Steamboat, he's down there selling out everything. People love him. They're going crazy for him. And we had him, and we lost him, and we let him go. I'm going to be sick. And when you talk to Ric Flair, I said, Flair, who was your best opponent? And right, without any hesitation, he would say, Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat is a gentleman.
He is. Very classy.
Never had any problem out of him. He always been nice. He always had been, gave me a lot of good advice. He always had helped me out in any way he can. He always been a dear friend. I saw Ricky at not too long ago. He was at the big event in Queens, and we sat and we chit-chat for a while. We always so good to see each other. Now, if any of y'all would meet Steamboat, we got a little joke going too.
Oh, really?
Yep, all the wrestlers, we all got a little Tony Atlas joke going. One day, George Scott told me I'm going to wrestle George Two-Ton Harris. And he said, the show before in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, I started to get over with the people. The people started liking me. So he put me in George Two-Ton Harris in Winston-Salem. He said, now, Tony, you coming back next week with the USA champion, Blackjack Mulligan. He said, I want you to go out there tonight and I want you to shine. I said, you want me to shine? He said, I want you to shine tonight because we bring you back next week against Blackjack Mulligan. So I go out in the ring, and Bunk Harry was a veteran. So every time I started to do something, he said, not yet, kid. Not yet, kid. Not yet, kid. So I let Bunk Harry throw me around, beat up on me and everything like that. Finally, it was time to go home. He threw me into the rope. I leapfrogged him, turned around, 2 drop kicks, and back then, my finish was a sleeper, and I put him in a sleeper. I come back, George Scott said, what happened? In 15 minutes, he kicked the crap out of you for 11 minutes. He said, I told you to shine. Why didn't you shine? I said, but George, I usually have a bottle of baby oil. Ricky Steamboat hit the floor. Steamboat hit the floor. And every time I see the Steamboat, you mentioned that to Ricky Steamboat, he would bust out laughing right away. He could not believe, I didn't know what shine means. So when George said he want me to shine, I went back and dumped baby all over me. I said, I'm going to be shining tonight. George's going to like this. I'm shining tonight. I just put baby oil on me. That's what I thought shine means. Shine is a term they use for make it, look good out there.
Right,
take care of yourself, look good out there. I thought he wanted me to shine. So I dumped baby oil all over me. I was greasy, Well,
I bet Jim Barnett liked that.
I probably did. Yeah. But I remember Ricky Steamboat, and even now, Ricky tell people that all the time.
Oh, really?
He said, that Tony was shining. You know, I said, George, I usually have a bottle of baby oil. How much more Shannon you want me to do?
Now, I don't know if I read this in a book or heard a secondhand story, but did you and Ricky socialize a bit back in the day?
Yeah, we traveled together.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, me, Tommy Rich. We were the young bloods back in them days. It was Tommy Wildfire Rich, Tito Santana, and Ricky Steamboat, and Bob Orton. Bob Orton was probably about 180 pounds. I met him, skinny as a whale.
Wow.
So all of us, we was all like the young bloods, like back in the 70s and stuff. Don Canuta. And we all hung out together, traveled together, drink beer together, fought together, had sex, not with each other, but
with rats.
Not with ladies.
Ladies.
With women, not with rats. No, I don't like that. but we started our career off because I met, we all, believe it or not, most of all the guys that was in the WWF in the 80s, they all came from either AWA, either came from Minnesota, Minneapolis, or they came from the South.
Right.
You know, all the top stars that Vince Jr. used, like Ronnie Piper, that came from the South, and Minneapolis. You know, he started in Minneapolis. You take most of all the guys, Chris Benoit and all them guys, Tito Santana, they all came up from the South. And most of the northern wrestlers, the majority of them, believe it or not, were from Canada. In fact, I would say about 60% of the wrestlers in the 70s were Canadians.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, because Stu Hart trained them. He had Stampede Wrestling.
Right.
So a lot of them came from Stampede Wrestling, Klondike Bill, all the guys I talked about, George and Sandy Scott. You know, they were from Canada.
The Scott brothers.
The Scott brothers. You know, they was all Canadian. The Hart Foundation was Canadian. And even here in recent, you take like Edge, from Canada.
Yeah.
The kid that just left there that used to had a coat that light up, Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Jericho is a Canadian. And if I'm not mistaken, is Brock Canadian?
I think he lives in Canada now. He was from, I think, North Dakota, Minnesota.
He
went to school in Minnesota.
Yeah, and even a lot of guys, you know, they was Canadian born.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Tony, let me ask you this. Was there a competitive flair at all between you and Ricky Steamboat, where you both not only were professional wrestlers, but were involved in the bodybuilding world?
Well, yeah, Ric Flair, I competed in the Mr. Southern Hemisphere, and Ric Flair and Jimmy Snuka competed in the Mr. North Carolina competition. And I saw a tape of that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's still on the internet, but somebody showed it to me on the internet back in the 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was of a tape of me posing on stage, and Steamboat was on the tape, and Jimmy Snuka was on the tape. Jimmy Snuka got second place, and Ric Flair won the Mr. North Carolina, and I won the Mr.
Flair
Southern
won?
Hemisphere. Yeah, huh?
Flair won?
No,
Steamboat, you mean?
Steamboat.
Okay.
Steamboat won the contest. Jimmy Snuka got second place in the Mr. North Carolina, and I won the Mr. Southern Hemisphere that night.
Wow.
I couldn't compete in the Mr. North Carolina because I already won it.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And then Kevin Sullivan took and won the Mr. Tennessee Bodybuilding Championship.
Did he?
Yeah, Kevin Sullivan. Yeah.
He had a tremendous bodybuilder physique before.
Now, I got to brag on this.
Let me hear you, brother.
I'm the one
Put yourself over.
I'm the one that got Ricky Steamboat involved in bodybuilding.
How was that?
Well, he just started training with me back in Charlotte, and you would see a tape of where Ric Flair scraped Ricky Steamboat's face on the concrete, and they bet, and I'd do a 500-pound bench press. Yep.
Really?
Yep. And then they had a posing thing with me and Ken Patero.
Kenny Patero.
Where I bent the steel bar around my neck, blew up a hot water baller. And Steamboat spotted me when I did the bench press. Yeah. And then after I did the bench press, Ric Flair attacked Steamboat and scraped his face up real bad.
Oh.
Yep. So I'm the one that got Ricky Steamboat never in a bodybuilding contest in his life. Jimmy Snuka had because he was Mr. Hawaiian.
Yeah.
So he had competed. I got Frank Marty, who was another great bodybuilder. He was not a top star. He was a undercard guy, but he had a great physique. I got Kevin Sullivan lifting weights. Kevin never lifted weights day in life. Started training with me and won Mr. Tennessee.
Yeah?
Wow. He was a state champion. Steamboat was a state champion. Kevin Sullivan was a state champion.
But you were the most successful. You were Mr. USA.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance to work with Ricky in the ring? You
Only
both were
as tag
baby
team,
faces.
Only tag team.
As partners or against
as
each
partner,
other?
Only
Okay.
as partner. I never wrestled him as an opponent because we was always called, like you said, baby
faces,
He
right.
was always a baby. I was a baby. But I have seen matches on TV from Mid Atlantic where me and Steamboat, we teamed up a lot in the late 70s.
He was very smooth.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
One of the best you ever had a chance to work with?
Yes.
As far as you look back at some of the
Now,
legends.
my best tag team partner of all time was Tommy Wildfire Rich.
Tommy Rich.
Tommy Rich. He's the most underrated wrestler that this world ever seen. He was just as big as Flair at one time.
Really?
He was bigger than Flair at one time.
Well, I think maybe we'll have to dive into the career of Tommy Rich in one of these episodes.
He was bigger than Ric Flair at one time.
I actually heard a very interesting story about you and Tommy
amazing.
Rich. Maybe we'll have to have an episode and discuss that. I think that'd be pretty good.
He was one of the most underrated wrestlers. See, the thing about Tommy, the reason people don't know him, he never went with WWF.
Right.
You know, he stayed down there. He had loyalty to the WCW.
Yeah.
You know, and he never left the South.
Well, and there was some rumors that the reason he got the world championship was because Jim Barnett gave him a little wildfire.
No, he got.
That was a rumor.
No, he got the championship because what happened was Bill Watts, Harley Race and Spoda came in, and he got a call from Japan, so Harley canceled. So what Bill Watts did, he was a booker at the time, he going to have a trophy called Champions of Champions.
Mm-hmm.
And he had all the people to write in. See, TBS was the first cable network. So it went into 48 different states. They got all the letters back who should be the next world champion. The guy that got #1 spot was Tommy Rich. The guy that got the #2 spot was Mr. Wrestling #2. They gave the trophy to Mr. Wrestling #2.
Why?
Why, I don't know. But then later, they put the belt back on. They gave the belt title to Tommy because Tommy was selling out everything. And all the letters came in and said they wanted Tommy Rich to be world champion.
All right, well, I think in 2019 we're going to have to do an
And then they
episode
took the
on
belt
Tommy.
off him in a short while because they figured they'd draw more money with him chasing the belt than to have it.
That makes a lot of sense.
But when they done that, they killed the territory.
Right. All right, well, like
people
I said,
didn't want to see who they put the belt on. They wanted Tommy.
They wanted Tommy. In a final thought, Tony, memories of Ricky Steamboat, how would you like to see him remembered in the years and decades as they go on in our great industry?
A great father, a great husband, a great friend, and one of the greatest wrestlers that the wrestling world have ever seen, and a great bodybuilder, a great humanitarian, and a great American.
And Ricky, we certainly thank you for donating to our Holiday Headlocks toy drive. He sent some pictures along, which was really nice of him. Good man.
He got a Hall of Gold.
All right, well.
Gentleman. Perfect gentleman.
The Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marani. The countdown is on, fans. We're on night 3 of 12 days of Christmas with me and Tony, having a lot of fun. He's showing off his Santa muscles. You know what someone said to me about this? When they saw me in my Grinch sweater? They said it's the only time of the year it's not Halloween for you. Can you believe that?
Well, everybody entitled to their own opinion.
That's right. All right, for Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marani. Again, we're going to take a sip. For old Paul Bear, we'll see you tomorrow on the 12 days of Christmas. Good night.
Woo!